Let's look at pie charts. So before we can draw a pie chart, we have to figure out what the angles are that we need for each of the parts that's going into our pie chart. So this particular one is about countries and holiday destinations. It's between France, Wales and England. Okay. Up here it tells us that there were 18 students in the class. So the total of these numbers is 18. Sometimes you need to add that up for yourself, but if you look around, sometimes they will have done that already. So this whole pie chart has to represent the choices of 18 people. And this whole pie chart takes up 360 degrees. So the 18 students have to equal a total of 360 degrees. So using that relationship, we can figure out what angle we would need for one student. So if 18 is 360, if we divide by 18 here, we'll figure out what 1 is. So 1 will be, 18 is half of 36, so that will be 20 degrees. So now we could go ahead and work out the angles that we need. So it says France is 3 people, so 3 20s will give us an angle of 60 degrees. It says Wales is 4, 4 20s are 80. And England is 11, 11 20s is going to be 220 degrees. So they've nice and helpfully drawn a line in here to start with. If they haven't done that, then you will need to, because you need something to measure from. So we're going to do the 60 degrees for France first of all. So now we need our protractor. We get it lined up so that the cross in the middle is bang on the center of the circle, and then we make sure that the line is lined up here as well. So we're going to start at the 0 end here, so it's the outside numbers we're going to look for. And so we're going to go round, and it's a bit easier to be more accurate, obviously, when you're using a pencil rather than a great big chunky pen. But we go round to 60. And then either with a ruler, or in a lot of cases, this is long enough, so we don't need to grab that. We then draw in that line. And don't forget also to label your parts. So that was France. Okay, so for the next one we need to do 80 degrees for Wales. So then this time I'm still going to center it on that middle bit, but the line I'm going to use to line up is the new line we've just drawn. If I go back to the original one, we'll just put all the sections on top of each other rather than spreading them round. So we want to go round to 80, which is here. And then we're going to draw that line in. Okay, so that was Wales. So what's left should be England and should be 220 degrees. Okay, you should check because sometimes your drawing might be off, which is a good reason why when you're doing it you need to do it in pencil. If I'd done it in pencil you probably wouldn't have been able to see what I was doing. So how do we do the 220 degrees when this won't go all the way round? Okay, so just think about it. You know that this angle going round to the line straight down here would be 180. So to make 220 we'd need another 40. So what we've really got to do is measure this angle here and check that that's 40. So turn the protractor round, line it up again with this line, and then this time we're going to be looking at the inside track because we're starting from 0 here, and I've got it right here. So this goes round to 40, so we have checked it, and that is a 220 degree angle. So the last thing we've got to do is just label that section like so. Okay, let's do another one. This one is about breeds of dogs in a village. So this time it doesn't actually tell me what these add up to. So the first thing I've got to do is add these numbers. So 11 and 7 is 18, 4 is 22, and 14 is going to make it 36. And then you can create your own little table here. So that 36 dogs in this case has got to equal the total angle of the whole circle, which is 360. So this is an even simpler relationship. I think you can see here that one dog therefore must be the same as 10 degrees. Okay, so the first ones are spaniels. We've got 11 of those, so that means we want 110 degrees for the spaniels. 7 poodles, so that's 70 degrees for poodles. The greyhounds are 4, so that's 40 for those. And sorry, I've run out of space. And the last of all, we've got Jack Russells, which is 14, so that will be 140. Now it can pay to add those numbers up just to make sure that they do add up to 360. It's just an extra check to know that you haven't done your sums wrong. So let's start again. So we're going to start with the spaniels. So we need 110. We'll get everything lined up. Round we go to 110. Draw the line in. Like so. And label the space. If the circle is smaller and there isn't room to label inside, then you might need to do a little key outside. So you would colour or shade in your sections here, do a little example of that shading in a box, and then write the label next to it and do it in that way instead. Okay, so next we need poodles, which was 70. So let's line up again. Right, round we come. There's 70. Where possible, also make sure that you do your writing facing the normal way, rather than don't turn the paper around and draw it upside down, because the whole point of a diagram like this is that it should be easy to read. So if the writing's at a funny angle, that doesn't help with that. So that's poodles, that was 70. Greyhounds is 40. So let's line up again on the centre and our new line here, and 40 is just there. So with my chunky pen, I'm going to have a bit of a challenge writing greyhound in here, but I'll give it a go. Okay. So then we should be left with 140 degrees for the Jack Russell. So let's just check that that is 140 degrees. So get it all lined up as if we were going to draw it from scratch. Around we go, and okay. Let's make sure I'm lined up properly. Okay, and in fact, and this is probably just because I'm using such a chunky pen, I am actually out by a couple of degrees. Okay, but I think that's mainly, I'm putting that down to the fact that my lines are so thick here that it's causing a little bit of an extra problem. But you want to be as accurate as you can, certainly no more than 1 degree out. So this would be our Jack Russells. Okay, so that's drawing pie charts. So now let's look at how we read and interpret things from a pie chart. So it's the same basic understanding, okay, but we just need to do things backwards in a sense. So backwards because typically we've got the angles and we've got to work out the numbers. So the first thing we can look at here is that we've got a missing angle, so we can figure that out because all of these need to add up to 360. So 45 and 45 make 90. Add another 90 is 180. And then if we add on the 120, we'll get 300. So that means that this one here must be 60 degrees. Okay. So now we've got to figure out what the numbers are. So this one is supposed to be about rugby fans and which country they support. Okay. So how are we going to figure this out? We're going to do it based on the only link we have between the angle and the number of fans. So this time we don't know the total number of fans, so I can't do the same sort of trick that I've done before, where we just say, oh, there's 36 in total, that equals 360, and work it out like that. I'm going to do something similar, it's just not going to be with the 360. So here we're told that 12 is the same as 90 degrees. So I could work out what 1 is, but sometimes it's easier not to just go to 1 in these circumstances. So if we understand that 45 is half of 90, then that means the number will be half. So that means France will have 6 fans. And Wales is also going to have 6 because that's also 45. Now, so if we look at the numbers 60 and 120, now they kind of link with 90 if we go for the 30 option. So if 90 is 12, 30 degrees, we've divided by 3 there, so we divide by 3 here, would be 4. And 60 is double that, so that means Scotland has 8. And 120 is 430, so 4 4, so that's 16. So we haven't gone for the 1 fan equals an angle because that was just going to make life a little bit tougher there. So look for those common factors that will help. Right, here we have another question, still about rugby apparently. Okay, on this side we have a pie chart for the under 13s and this one is for the under 15s. Okay, and we're shown it's just a simple split between games won and games lost. So the games won in this case were a 90-degree angle, which means that the games lost is 270 degrees. And in this one, the games won is 120 degrees. So that leaves us with 240 degrees for the lost. So they're asking us which team won more matches. So we're really just focusing on the one. Now it may look as if it's obvious from looking at the diagram that this one has won more, but that's not necessarily the case. And the reason for that is because these two circles are not representing the same number of matches. So here it tells us that the under 13s pie chart is representing 28 matches, whereas the under 13s had only played 18. So what we need to work out is exactly how many won in both of these pie charts so that we can do the comparison. So in this one, it was 90 degrees that won, and 90 degrees, or as you can see it there, is just a quarter. So 1/4 of 28, i.e. 28 divided by 4, is going to give us 7. So the under 13s won 7 of their matches. So now let's look at this side. Okay, so we've got 120 degrees to deal with. That's a third of that. That's one way you can do it. So 120 over the 360, and then if we cancel that down, we'll eventually get to the fraction a third. So we want a third of 18, which is 18 divided by 3, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So we can actually see that the under 13s have actually won more of their matches than the under 15s have. As a percentage, the under 15s have won more matches, but as actual numbers, it is actually the under 13s who've won more. So we're going to look at one more example. Okay, variation on the theme now. So no rugby, this is ice cream flavours we're dealing with here. So we've got honeycomb, vanilla, milk, mint rather, sorry, chocolate and strawberry. So honeycomb is 72 degrees, as is strawberry. The chocolate is 120, vanilla is 60, and mint is 36. So the first thing it asks us to do here is to work out how many vanilla ice creams were sold. So up here it tells us that there was a total of 270 ice creams sold. So our 270 equals to our 360 degrees. Now let's just try and simplify that down. So that means that 27 is the same as 36 degrees. Now let's go down a bit further. So both of these numbers are in our 9 times table. So 3 9s are 27. So if I divide by 9 I get 3. And 36 is 4 9s. So for every 3 ice creams, it's 4 degrees. That's the simplest I can make it. So now let's look at vanilla. Vanilla is 60 degrees. So if 3 equals 4 degrees, and we want 60 degrees, we've got to work out how many 4s there are in 60, which is not as hard as you think. If you think about a clock, hopefully you can see that it's 15. Think about it. A quarter of 60 is a quarter of an hour, which is 15 minutes. So to go from 4 to 60, we times by 15. So on this other side, we also need to times by 15. So 3 15s is 45. So the number of vanilla ice creams sold was 45. Now it's asking us for mint. Mint was 36. So we've got this 3 equals 4 degrees here. Okay, but actually if you're eagle-eyed already, we can see the answer, because 36 degrees we actually have up here as being equal to 27 ice creams. So no point making work for ourselves if we've already got the answer. So the answer for that one is 27. So it's 45 for there and 27 for here. And finally they want us to do strawberry. So strawberry is 72 degrees. Now the shortcut to help us with this one is if you can notice that 72 degrees is double 36 degrees. So it's going to be 2 lots of 27, which is going to give us 54 ice creams. If you can't see that, you can of course always start with the 3 equals 4 degrees. So you'd have to divide your 72 by 4 and then multiply by 3 to get your answer. It's always worth looking for the shortcuts with maths.